Hello and welcome to my channel. I apologize if you hear background noise. It's the garbage, but I need to record now because it gets dark at like before 4:30 here, and it's currently 4, so we're gonna hurry and try to make this. This video is basically just going to be me explaining why I moved to London, how I moved to London, a little background. I am from the Midwest in the United States, so I just moved a couple months ago to London. So basically what I'm doing here is I am studying. I am getting my master's in advertising and PR, and I decided to do this. Let's take it back, like last year at this time. It was the height of the pandemic, kind of. I mean, I graduated in May 2020, which was not an ideal time to graduate, and I was really struggling finding a job because lots of people had gotten let go, a lot of places weren't currently hiring, etc, etc. And I also became obsessed with TikTok during that time, and there was a girl I found on TikTok. Let me see what her name is for you. I think it's Lauren. Okay, yes, Lauren. Her TikTok is splorin.lauren. I can link it below. So I came across a video she made where she was talking about going to another country and studying, and sometimes in that country you can then get a citizenship or something, like you can be eligible to actually live in that country. And so I was like, wow, I had never really thought about this before, but London was always somewhere I wanted to live. So I started doing a lot of research, and I came across Paige Mariah on YouTube. She was another one who kind of like was like, okay, I can do this. She was from Chicago, and she came to London to get her master's. And master's, like, I would never really highly considered it. I was kind of ready to graduate and get working, but I was so stuck like this time last year. So I just started researching programs. I knew if I got my master's, I would want to get it related to public relations. And so I started researching programs in London. I came across a few. But then I just sat on it for so long because I wasn't really sure if like that was what I wanted to do. So I didn't even apply until May of 2021. And I got in, I told my parents when I got in. So that is how I came here. I've made a whole video on the visa process, and I'm gonna post that next week. I made it in real time of me filling out all the CAS and visa information. So if you are actually applying or like looking to come or to move here, it will help with that process. I have a student visa, and so that's good until 4 months after my program. And then I can apply to a post-grad visa, which is a newer thing if you're studying in England after starting 2020 or later. So if you apply to that, then you have 2 years on that visa to look for a job here. So that's really nice. Another big thing is living. So I'm gonna touch on that because that was a huge stress for me. You can live in student accommodation, or you can try to find a place elsewhere. So I looked first, I was like, I want to look into living elsewhere, because I was kind of worried we'd go into a lockdown and I would be stuck in a tiny dorm and just not know people. So I found this app slash website called Spare Room, and that's actually how I met my current roommates, flatmates, whatever you want to call them. So when I started talking to them, we decided we wanted to live together, and then we decided to just try to find a place that we could rent. But on Spare Room, there's also people who just put up rooms. Like, they have a 5-bedroom house and they need 1 room to be filled. So you can also use it that way, and that would really be the easier way, because if you are a student, an international student in England, then you probably are going to need to get a guarantor for your house or apartment or flat or whatever you want to call it. So it's probably going to have to be a guarantor from the UK, or you're going to have to pay 6 months rent up front, generally, from what I've heard of. So keep that in mind. It is a harder process. Luckily, the letting agency allowed us to do a guarantor from the United States, but it was a whole process, and just the letting agencies here are not what I'm used to from the US. Like, it was all very frustrating. That's all I'm gonna say. But if you have more questions about that, you can like message me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. But now I'm going to ask you on Instagram to ask me some questions, so I'm gonna share those. The first one is best food in London, and if you don't know, England isn't really known for good food. They're actually known to have pretty bad food, kind of like bland, and yeah, but London is such an international city, so I think what I found my favorite food here has been probably Asian food, like Chinese and Thai. Also Indian food, there's a lot of good places, but there are just like all sorts of cuisines here, which is nice. I haven't even really had much like traditional English food, so I need to try that. Just like the pies and stuff, like yeah, just don't sound the most appetizing to me. Another question was it hard to pack everything in suitcases? Yes, and I made a horrible mistake of only bringing 1 big suitcase and 1 carry-on suitcase. I don't know how I did it, and then I had my mom ship me like a pretty small box, like just a couple weeks, or like last week, of coats. That was difficult. I mean, it was so hard to narrow down what I actually wanted to bring here, and I feel like I'm repeating outfits all the time, and if it's ever like, if I want to go somewhere really warm, I just don't know what I'm gonna wear. Another question was, are you living on your own? As I said, no, I am living with 2 flatmates, as they're called here, and they are also both from the US, but we didn't know each other at all, and I got really lucky. Like, they're really nice. What was your reason or motivation? Basically, I was so stuck and I just needed a change. I needed to get out. I also just really wanted to live in London at some point, and the more research I did, the more I found that the only way that was probably gonna happen is if I studied here, because it is really hard, from what I've heard, to get sponsored for a job here. So it seemed like it was a good opportunity to come. And I also really want to travel when I'm here because I just like want to explore Europe so badly. And then I think I kind of touched on all the other questions, but except for, are the people friendly? And I've found that most people are friendly. Honestly, at my school, there's like no one from the UK. They're all international students, basically. So I don't have any, like, it's kind of sad. Like, I haven't really met like British people except for at restaurants and stores and stuff. They're all nice, I think, that I've come across. I mean, obviously they're not all nice, but for the most part, I will say that the customer service isn't as good here as it is in the US. And I think a lot of that is because they're very much want everything to be digital here. You tap your phone or your card everywhere. If you're coming here and you want to insert or swipe your card, they don't like that. So set up Apple Pay if you're visiting. It is amazing. And also, like, so when you go to a restaurant, sometimes you'll just totally pay on your phone. Like, scan the menu, order on the app or order on the website, and then pay on the website. So you barely even see your wait staff here. So you're not getting like that great customer service that you're probably getting in the US because they want the tip. And then another thing I just thought of when I was thinking about that is phones. So like, if you're coming, I would just plan on getting a new SIM card. Actually, what I would do is order a SIM card before you get here, and then have that. So then when you get here, you can just pop your SIM card in and you're ready to go. Because you will want a UK, England number. And then also banking. I haven't opened a bank here. I heard it can be hard, but there are like online banks you can use. But just make sure you have a credit card that doesn't have transaction fees if you don't want to open up a bank here. But the conversion rate is hard to keep in mind sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this is so cheap. And then it's like, wait, it might be £2, but it's $5 or something like that. So you just kind of have to keep that in mind if you aren't switching to an England bank, that US dollars are quite a bit more than pounds. And that's all I can like really think of right now. But if you have any other questions, leave a comment or message me on Instagram. I'll link all that below. So yeah, that was a little like Q&A about my move to London.